But today, I'm the greatest of all time. Thank you.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters. And we ain't got nothing to hide, we move forward like soldiers. You better wake up for the pay stub, or you'll pay up. Don't make love to the game, bruh, fuck the game up. Change up, rearrange stuff to your greatness. Famous for the way up, play the game, bruh.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah.
You know I'm always honest, there ain't no way I'm ever stopping.
I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top,
I'm always flirting with pain, she like to hurt me and maim. I'm always working to change, but she's still lurking the same. I keep on building this dynasty while the haters be trying me, but they hate from inside.
All right, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Unscripted here live on the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. I'm your host and producer this afternoon, Logan Landers, and joining me is a very talented individual from the Peach State. You might have heard his silky smooth voice coming across at the Rome Emperors, Clark Atlanta University, or of course at Georgia Tech out there, the Yellow Jackets, talking some baseball. The one, the only, Mr. Larry Gardner. How you doing this afternoon, sir?
I am doing wonderful, Logan. Thank you for asking. And so honored to be on the Unscripted show with you guys, and looking forward to having a great show today.
Yes, sir. It's going to be a fun time. But before we get into the conversation, talk about your career in sports broadcasting, sports media. Guys, be sure if you enjoy this episode, give us a like, follow, share, and subscribe on the following social media platforms: Facebook, X, TikTok, YouTube, and on Twitch. And also, you can check us out on LinkedIn as well. Connect with us on a professional level. You want to come be a part of the network? That is the best way to do so. Just drop a comment, send us a DM over there, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Also, go and check out our podcast, available on all major podcast streaming platforms each and every week. So, Mr. Gardner, let's just get into it. Let's just talk about your upbringing in sports. I mean, who were your favorite teams growing up, and what made you want to pursue the career you're in right now?
It's quite ironic. In high school, I was the biggest Michigan Wolverine fan known to man, and most of that love came because of the Fab Five, and even a little bit before then. You know, the Ramil Robinson, Glenn Rice teams of the old Michigan basketball teams, and of course with the whole Fab Five thing, I was a huge Michigan fan. And then I had an opportunity to go visit the Miami Hurricanes campus my senior year to even try to play football down there, and I fell in love with it and became a Miami Hurricane fan from that point forward. And from then to now, it has been Hurricane Central, whether it's been basketball, football, baseball, you name it. It's been go Canes, you know. So that's where it all started. In high school, my love for sports, I played everything. I was good at basketball, football, baseball, track. So I was a four-sport athlete in high school. Even in basketball, I was doing the public address announcing for basketball for the girls before I even got ready to play as a boys athlete. So it kind of started there. And from that point, it was everybody saying, Larry, you got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this. And even me trying to do this, it was like trying to knock on several doors, and the opportunities just wouldn't present themselves. You'd go, hey, can I scrub the floors for you? No. Can I clean the toilets? No. You know, anything that you could try to do to get your foot in the door, it just became shut. So the opportunity presented itself through high school athletics, you know, and being able to cover my own alma mater, Adairsville high school teams here, and being able to be at first the public address announcer for them since 2015, and then 2018, 2019 became the play-by-play voice for them in all their sports. So that's how it all started, and that was where the door opened up for me to be able to do a lot of the things that people have recognized me for here lately over the last couple of years.
Yeah, so that's that's great. Obviously, Daresville's got a storied program out there in high school, and they got a tremendous team, whatnot. But so whenever you went to Miami, did you pursue a degree in mass communications or in sports broadcasting, whatever that professional the degree is out there?
The answer is no. My actual degree was in computer engineering.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so I didn't even think about any mass communications or broadcasting until I came back home and actually went to Kennesaw State. And that's where they pushed me into it because I was going to go for a master's in computer engineering. And they're like, you're just going to waste your time. Your skill set, dude, you need to be in some form of mass communications, journalism, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where it started. And I got into the mass communications program there at Kennesaw State. Ended up going through that program, and then the rest is things I was able to put in my back pocket so that when I got to do the Adairsville stuff, it was a seamless transition realistically because you were able to take the skills that you had done learned and then implement it in something that you felt it was your passion, your gift, your energy, and that you were just naturally talented to be able to do. So that's where it all kind of meshed and fit itself together.
Yeah, and you also mentioned in your opening statement just talking about, trying to knock on as many doors and trying to just get your foot in. It also too, especially with I would say sports broadcasting and sports media, because I mean for every for the two of us speaking right now, there's hundreds of thousands more that are wanting to do the same thing. They're either wanting to be a PA announcer, be a play-by-play guy, be a
Oh,
color guy, be a host for a national show. I mean, there's all of these jobs that we see that we watch growing up. People we idolize, people we watch each and every week. Rooting for our teams or rooting just on a national level, and that's really what it is. It's more so that you have to have confidence in yourself, in your work. You also have to network like crazy. You have to talk to as many people as you can and ask, oh, hey, you know anyone in this field who could help me, or do you know anyone who could, who'd want to talk with me about a potential job that could set up? And that's something that I've learned since I graduated college back in 2020. Because after college, I was just, working a job, wasn't doing anything in the field. But then I was like, okay, let me see if I can find something with my mass communications degree. That's when I started working at the radio station I'm at now in Gainesville, Georgia. And I've been there for a little bit over a year. It's been a great job and I've met some great people, great company up there as well. And sports has always been my number one passion. I love sports. I played baseball going into high school, and it's always been a passion of mine. And since that we've been on this network, since we've been doing this network super heavy for the past 8 months or so, we've been trying to find different individuals from different walks of life, whether it be sports, whether it be entertainment, and just learning their story, how they got to where they are today and where they want to be, where in their future, in their near future. And that's the thing too. And let's get back on track here and talk about your journey. So I know you also do play-by-play and PA announcing for Clark Atlanta as well as Georgia Tech. How do those opportunities come about?
so throughout the whole 2023 blow up situation, for lack of a better term, with
Yes, we'll
the
get to
whole
that in a
Atlanta
moment.
Braves public address announcer search,
Yes.
when we made it to the top three. Yeah, well, and it's kind of how it's all connected to each other. Well, there's a couple of Facebook groups that I'm a part of that are strictly for play-by-play and public address announcers. And the athletic director for Clark Atlanta sent a message out and was like, "Hey, is anybody available to do football?" And I'm like, "I'm available. I'll do it."
Right here.
And it was literally that simple. So we connected via Facebook. He shot me a DM. The rest is history. So from the first football game, it was like, "Can you do volleyball?" Yep, absolutely. Can you do women's basketball? Absolutely. You know, can you do softball? Absolutely. And the same kind of thing hooked up with Georgia Tech. It was, hey, we're looking to fill up some backup public address announcer roles. Hey, can you come audition? Absolutely. Went down there to McCamish, auditioned, and luckily been able to get some Georgia Tech baseball. I got another one of those tomorrow afternoon against NC State that we'll be doing. We'll be doing the spring game for football for them this year on April 13th, and it's literally just finding every opportunity that you can find and being available. because your number one commodity to them. I don't care how about you sound. I mean, of course they do, but your availability is just as important as the voice that you carry. And because of that, you just got to continue to make yourself available, find out what they're looking for, network like you've already said multiple times, because the majority of these opportunities came because I continued to be relentless, knocking on doors, sending out emails, jumping on LinkedIn, connecting with people. Do you know? Have you heard? Joining this public address announcer group that was that I found on LinkedIn. So many different things that you continue to always do just so you find an opportunity, because it's kind of like, and I've said this several times and it's kind of corny, but it's so true. It's the same slogan as the lottery. Today might be the day. So you got to keep doing what you're doing in order to be able to get the opportunity to get you to the gig that you really want to get to.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up a great point also with just being available, because I would say if you go into the mindset of trying to get into a sports realm and only wanting to cover one sport, it's going to be a slippery slope. You have to be available. You have to be willing to adapt, to learn. Like you said, volleyball, I wouldn't know the first thing about volleyball, but if I got the opportunity to go and do some play-by-play or learn some volleyball, best believe I will be up till midnight watching clips and watching, just footage about how to do this, how to call things. And for every yes you get back for either it's a job or whether it's an interview with someone, you get about, I would say, 20 no's or 20 just cold calls. You'll get nothing back in that situation. And that's just how it is in media and also sports media. It's just you have to relentlessly work. Your grind is always 24/7. It sounds corny, but that's just how it is. You just have to keep networking. It's all about really who you know, as well as, as long as your work is good. And you have to have confidence in yourself. That's the main thing. But let's go. You mentioned it. You touched on it, talking about your viral moment, we'll call it. Being with the Atlanta Braves had a PA announcer opening last year and early in 2023. They were looking for it. And like you mentioned, man, you got right there, right up the doorstep, top 3. But you had a video that is on your current X page right now. It's got over 600,000 views on yours alone, and I'm sure on other accounts as well. So what was that like, going just for the audition process and also just kind of seeing the aftermath of all that and just how it kind of blew up on social media?
Yeah, so I didn't even know it was taking place. One of my kids is ELA, English Literature Language Arts teachers, sent me a message on Facebook and was like, Larry, the Atlanta Braves are hosting a PA search at Braves Fest. I don't know what you're doing, but it's tomorrow. You got to get there. And I'm like, okay. So I began to go into logistics mode, trying to get kids to make sure that they were all going to be able to get to their practices, because they had basketball games going all over the place. And we made it happen. So we showed up. We stood in line for about an hour and a half. Was talking to a whole bunch of people, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, dude, you're so going to get it. You're so going to get it. And I just sat there and I said, okay. They said, you got 60 seconds. So in my head, I was like, I got to get through this whole thing in 60 seconds. Which is why it sounded as rushed as it did, because in my head I said, man, if I don't get through this, I'm screwed. So
they want me to complete it.
Yeah, I'm under the impression they want me to complete it, and then after the fact, they didn't care about if I completed it or not. They just wanted to see what it sounded like. So long story short, they sent me the video. I uploaded it on Twitter/X, and it just went viral. And I was like, whoa. And then you started hearing big name people that most folks in the Atlanta area can relate to, the West Durhams of the world, the Steve Holmans of the world, the Ryan Camerons of the world. I'm like, whoa, this might get somewhere. And obviously it did. It went from that to getting an interview in person to getting a opportunity to audition again there live at Truist Park. And of course, getting to the final 12 and then the final 3 before ultimately not making it. But still, that's kind of been the catalyst to everything that has happened to my public address announcing and even some play-by-play announcing with the Rome Emperor's career. It was a remarkable experience, and to be in the likes of those, and then to get people across the country who are professionals to say, you might not have got it this time, but dude, you've got the pipes and you've got the work ethic. Your time is coming. Just keep grinding. that was a big step in the right direction for me to have the confidence to continue to do what I've always and already had been doing. But to be able to put on your resume that a major league team thought you were good enough to be in that spot, that's something I can carry with me for the rest of my life. So that was huge. And the whole process with the Atlanta Braves organization and the people that I've gotten to meet and still hold relationships with to this day have just been tremendous.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's the very top thing at your resume right there. It's made it top 3 right there. Yep, I see it. Yep. And so let's transition now to, obviously you got the merch on right now. You got the shirt, you got the new hat for the former Rome Braves. They were for many years. I even went to a lot of Rome Braves games going up, and now they're the Rome Emperors. So just talk about that whole situation, how you got working out there in Rome, and also the team. They've gotten a lot of traction on the social media too with their new look. Obviously, the Penguins going crazy right now. So just talk about that whole situation. Also, what you think of the upcoming season for them.
Yeah, the whole Penguin paraphernalia and the whole
Yes, sir.
the whole connection through Rome is amazing. The day the announcement came down that Atlanta went another direction, the media relations supervisor at Rome reached out to me and was like, dude, I hate that you didn't get the gig with Atlanta, but we got a spot here in Rome. I don't know if you're interested, but we'd love to have you. And it was like, sure, why not? And he said, okay, I'm going to send you a script and a lineup, and I just want you to go through it, record it for me, send it to me. He sent it to his general manager. His general manager was like, yeah, that's it. Get him on. Just tell him what we got to do. And went in for an interview real quick. It lasted all of about 15 minutes. And they said, okay, here we go. And the rest is history. So ended up doing that. In the process of doing that, they found out that I was kind of multifaceted. So I ended up on the weekends, our normal in-game MC had to work at her primary job. So on Saturdays, I ended up doing in-game emceeing and public address announcing from the stands. Something that was scary to every one of them because they were like, dude, there's so much to keep up with. But it was flawless. And it got me to be able to interact with all the fans too. So it was a win-win. And then I actually got a couple of chances to do some play-by-play with them last year as well. So there were so many different things that I was able to do to be able to put on the resume that I can say that I can do. But being able to develop relationships with the players, with their families, with the staff there, and I couldn't have asked for a better situation, to be honest with you. And seeing how some of those guys have been playing in the spring, those that got invites that were playing in Rome, many of the people know the Hurston Waldrops, the AJ Smith Shalvers, the Nacho Alvarez's, the Drake Baldwins, and so many different more. But Rome, I would tell you they had probably a subpar season last year, but there's so much to look forward to this season. So many talented guys that'll probably start there but won't stay there long. Nacho being one of the ones I think that he may play there a week and then he'll be in AA if not AAA before the year is over with. But there are so many talented prospects that Alex Anthopoulos and the Braves farm system have stockpiled and made sure that everything that they had given out, they are rebuilding on. So things are looking up in Rome. I'm looking forward to the season. I think it's going to be exciting. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of the new prospects that will be lining up there with a new manager and a lot of new coaches as well. So a new brand, a new manager, a lot of new coaches. There's most of them moved up in the AA and AAA, and a lot of new prospects that we'll get to see there in Advent Health Stadium come April 5th. So I'm looking forward to it.
And like they always say, if you look good, you play good. And the uniforms, they look pretty good. And the best thing about the Braves is, for the longest, a lot of their minor league systems were just the so-and-so Braves, the Mississippi Braves, the Richmond Braves back in the day. And obviously Rome was there for over 20 years. So at first I was a little bit heartbroken because I was like, oh, that's a piece of the childhood right there that went out the window. But I understand it's time for a rebrand. You gotta freshen things up sometimes, and especially with all the, we'll just say, wacky minor league teams out there, you gotta be able to stand out. And I think that Rome has done a great job with that. And also, you mentioned too, obviously everyone looks at the Braves and says, Obviously you see the major league team, and obviously they're looking, stockpiling for another great 2024 season after having a really solid 2023 season. But you also have to look at the minor leagues too, because that's who you're going to look at in the next 5-10 years, as opposed to the current day. And that's what makes, especially minor league baseball, I think so interesting to me personally, is because there's multiple levels. It's not just like, the NBA where you have the G League and you get called up. No, in baseball, you have multiple levels. You have low A, you have high A, you have single A, double A, and so on and so forth. And it's a lot of work to get called up to the show, even just for one game, let alone to have a historic career, especially if you're a guy who was drafted, a late round or something like that. You really have to work. And all the guys we've talked to on the network, who have played minor league baseball, who are currently in the system, we can tell that they're just super hungry, and they're just doing everything they can to get called up and just to get a shot. That's the thing, is these kids they need a shot to prove themselves to the minor league, to the major league programs, to their managers, to the GMs, and say, hey, I am the guy that can lead you for the next 5-10 plus years and get you a World Series ring. And that's what I really think that's interesting. And that's why we always try to push the narrative of you got to check out these prospects. Go support your local teams. Go check out if you're close to a minor league team, go and watch their games. The tickets aren't that expensive at all. It's a great, like you said, it's you get more of a personal feel with these players because you're closer to them, honestly.
Yes.
Minor league stadiums are smaller, so you get, to be in the stadium, get to be around the fans, you get to toss the ball with them in the outfield sometimes, and if they're doing batting practice beforehand, you can catch some home runs. So that's just a really fun thing about minor league baseball that I've always loved since I was just a kid, and even to this day. And let's talk a little bit of Braves baseball here before we wrap things up. Obviously, the Braves they've had a pretty solid offseason, I'd say, so far. News broke just earlier today, a couple hours ago, that they've re-signed Adam Duvall coming back to the team after the subpar performance of Jared Kelenic so far this spring. They're going to be platooning, it seems, this upcoming season. But give us just your overall outlook. And Larry, I am a big Braves fan. I was born and raised in Douglasville, Georgia, lived in Georgia my whole life, so the Braves are my number one team. You got some good looks for me? You got some something positive for me?
I do have something positive for you. I think everything that they've done this offseason, man, is all about World Series of buzz. It really has been. But you still got to get past the pesky Phillies. And until it's almost like the Ric Flair slogan that says, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And unfortunately, anytime Atlanta has played Philadelphia in the playoffs, Atlanta has lost. So you got to figure out how to get past Philadelphia. Obviously in the regular season, it seems to be an easy process. But when you go 1 through 9, both lineups, from Trey Turner all the way down to Realmuto and the Brave killer last offseason, Nick Castellanos, you got to be able to get through them. Bryce Harper's going to be Bryce Harper. But they re-signed Aaron Nola. They re-signed Zach Wheeler. They re-up just like the Braves have re-up. So I believe those two teams are going to go to war. Atlanta is got the places. If we can get that, and I know it's going to sound ridiculous worrying about a fifth starter, because if you look 1 through 9, starter 1 through 4, Atlanta can compete with anybody. So I'm anxious to see how the fifth starter role is going to find out. I'm anxious to see if the guy on the team that I think that needs to make the biggest jump for them to really stay where they need to be is Michael Money Harris. Like, if I can see him bat about 285 with about 30 homers and about 40 stolen bases, I think we're going to be in for a good year, especially if you can keep him doing that. And I don't see how you're going to be able to keep him at the low part of that lineup. You're going to probably have to get him. I hate to say a 2-hole, but he's probably going to end up having to be a 2-hole or a 6-hole hitter before it's all said and done. But, man, when you look at Ronald, Matt Olson, if he goes for another 50 home run year, any other season, that would have been MVP numbers, but you got a 40-70 man right above you,
Yep, that's it.
Can go for 30. Austin Wiley's going to go for 30 or 40. Marcell Ozuna's probably going to go for 30 or 40 again. So if you get Money Harris to hit 30, and he's wreaking havoc on the base paths, that's going to be crucial. Not only that, but the way Spencer Strider has been perfecting his off-speed pitches here in spring training. I think that's huge because people
Mm-hmm.
can't just sit on the fastball. And the addition of Chris Sale, if he can stay healthy, is going to be just phenomenal. So, long story short, I think they're going to win the NL East. I don't know how that's going to shake up because you've got a team in the NL West that spent $1 billion in free agency. So you still got to figure out what the Dodgers are going to do. Arizona's still decent, so you still got to worry about them. The addition of Sonny Gray with the Cardinals is going to be huge for them. So the NL Central is going to be very interesting to see how that shakes out. So, I mean, this is going to be a very interesting 2024 season. But I don't have any concerns, honestly, about the Braves winning the NL East. It's what will you do once you get into October? That's my concern.
And also, I just think it's still funny. It still cracks me up that when you said the Dodgers spent over $1 billion in free agency. You know, before that was just a metaphor, just a phrase. But no, they've actually done it now. They have crossed that plane and they have spent a lot of money. But my 2 cents on the Braves, like you mentioned, you hit all the good points there. The lineup, they did their thing last season. They were crushing home runs left and right. We all know what they did. If you caught a home run ball, you're one of about 1 million, it felt like. But the pitching staff is what I need to really get locked in. Like I said, that fifth starter is what they're still, in a way, searching for. They still have to figure out who's going to man down that spot and how that's going to roll. Spencer Strider's been electric this spring training, which has been scary for opposing hitters even more so because, like you said, last year it was a lot of just high velocity pitches. His fastball, we all know it's his money pitch. But the fact that he's throwing that curveball like a Ricky Vaughn back in Major League and he's making it work, it is something to behold and something that could potentially be a Cy Young caliber season if he keeps pitching the way that we all know him to be. Like I said, Chris Sale was a big addition. A lot of people were kind of turned their nose at that when we first got him. They said, "Oh, he's old. He's been hurt." But keep in mind, he is a veteran. He's been around the game for a long time. He has expertise over these guys, and his stuff is still electric. It might not be topping up at the near 99 to 100 like you've seen before, but he can still get it up there with the best of them, and he's got that disgusting slider as well. Let's not forget that. So I think the Braves, like you mentioned, I have them picked to go in the NL East, and that's just not a homer pick. That's just based off the talent alone. But I think, like you said, the Phillies, obviously we know what they're about, how well they did last year, just their grittiness. Obviously, the Mets are in a weird state right now. They spent all this money. They have some good players. I just don't know if they have it there quite as a team yet. And then when you look at, obviously, the Marlins, they're retooling right now and trying to get things going. But overall, I think the Braves are in a prime spot to once again take home another NL East trophy. So, Larry, just one final question. If you have any advice or any just final words you want to say to anyone out there who's looking to get into mass communications, into sportscasting, or anything along those lines, now is the time to do so, sir.
Yeah, so I'll tell you this. One of the big keys to my career actually came to me as a I don't know, many of you who are paying attention to the podcast and listen to this show, you probably know the name John Fricke. He has probably been a super huge mentor to me. And one of the main things he told me probably about 5-6 years ago is, Larry, become a member of the Sportscaster Talent Agency of America, STAA. There's a membership fee associated with it. That was one of the biggest things that have ever helped me when it comes to play-by-play and learning the keys and learning, all kinds of things. That's huge. Number 2, never take no for an answer. Okay, and I'll give you a perfect example from me. I tried out to be Auburn's backup play-by-play and their in-game public address announcer, and they said no. Tried out for Mississippi State, they said no. But for every no that you get, there's somebody that's still waiting to say yes. So just because you it's almost like food. Just because a low country boil doesn't taste good to somebody, there's a whole bunch of people out there that love to get them some crawfish in there. Okay, you're not going to always be everybody's cup of tea, and always find where you can fit in it, because somebody's going to have an availability where they're not willing to do it. If it ain't nothing but sweep a floor, if you can sweep a floor in a radio station and just pay attention to what they do, take the job, because eventually, if you're good enough, the people there will know and recognize that you're good enough, and you'll get to where you want to get to. Y'all just keep going, keep grinding, and just keep working, keep perfecting your craft. Keep sending out the tapes, keep linking on social media, and eventually you're gonna get your shot. I'm a living proof of it. 30 years in the making, but you'll get your shot.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Gardner, if you have any social media or any other podcasts you're on that you'd like to promote, go ahead and do so, man. Let's get them out there and get them to follow over all your channels.
No worries, man. You can follow us. LG for Real though is on Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok. Facebook, Larry Gardner, the 306 Native Podcast on Facebook. You can follow that as well. We talk about stuff here in the Adairsville area, and also the Adairsville Sports Network, where we cover all Adairsville sports. You can cover that on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and X, which I call them, and TikTok. So all of those you can find us, and of course, you'll find us under a lot of Rome Emperors stuff at Go Emperors on Facebook, Twitter, which is X, Instagram, and TikTok.
All right, guys, go out there and run up those followers counts. And as always, Larry Gardner, appreciate you coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure talking about you, talking about your career, and also chatting up about a little bit of baseball as we get ready for the 2024 season. Guys, once again, if you enjoyed the show, give us a follow on our social media channels, Facebook, X, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, also on LinkedIn, and our podcast available each and every single week. Until next time, guys, go watch some baseball, get ready for the NFL draft, and also March Madness right around the corner. Until next time, guys, we'll talk to you on another live episode. We'll see you later.